Stussy, probably one of the longest running streetwear brands of all time. With 40 years of fashion influence, in this video I'm going to be going over the history of Stussy. So Stussy was founded in 1984 by a guy called Sean Stussy in California. Stussy was originally a surfboard business. Sean Stussy used to draw the iconic Stussy logo on surfboards and then sell it. 3 years after doing this, he actually come up with some t-shirt designs. He then took these t-shirts to like a local sporting event. The main purpose was to bring more attraction to his surfboards. However, Sean ended up selling 1,000 t-shirts compared to only 24 surfboards. So it was clear to Sean that a lot of people wanted like t-shirts and clothing. So in 1984, Sean Stussy ended up partnering with Frank Sinatra Jr. to create Stussy. After a few years, the brand started expanding rapidly. A lot of subcultures would rock the brand as well. Subcultures like streetwear, the hip hop community, and also the skate culture. And around this time they actually came up with like a squad. It was called the Stussy Tribe, and this was just a group that shared the same sort of like interests like clothing, skateboarding, and like music. And people that have been in this team later on went to create their own brands. So you had Eddie Cross that went on to create Undefeated, and then also within this team you had James Jebbia that also created Supreme. And in my opinion, that is so crazy to even like know, like, you know, Stussy actually basically created Supreme. Stussy sort of had like a business model of creating like low stock for like a specific item, and that would create like more exclusivity for the brand. Not only exclusivity, but also like hype around like the clothing brand itself. And this is what Supreme does very well still to this day. And you know, Stussy did it first, so I see how James Jebbia sort of took the business model from Stussy to create Supreme. In 1988, Stussy began to expand worldwide, selling in places like Japan, Europe, and also Australia. In 1990, Stussy created a sub-brand called Stussy Sister. This was a brand's way to sort of like cater towards like the female audience. However, it didn't really stick too long because like I want to say after like 7 years, the brand discontinued it. In the 1990s, this was a very slow decade for the brand. Profits started to slow up, and also the brand's popularity wasn't as big as it used to be. One of the main reasons for this was because fashion trends were sort of changing and Stussy didn't really adapt to the new environment. In 1996, Sean Stussy actually left the brand. The reason for this was to spend more time with his family. After Sean's departure from the brand, Frank Sinatra actually brought in like a whole new design team to sort of help them reinvent the brand and sort of help them focus on business overseas. Also, within this time in the US, Stussy actually created like a skate team. This was to go along with the skate sort of trend that was happening in like the 1990s. Nike actually noticed this and they started doing collaborations with Stussy. The first collaboration they ever did was on a pair of Huaraches. And they also released another shoe that actually went crazy, and this shoe did extremely well, selling out in under 2 days. And this was crazy back in the day because you didn't have the internet, you didn't have like, you know, you couldn't buy stuff online, so you actually had to go to the store. And yeah, 2 days is a very quick. So in the 2000s, Stussy was sort of like the front runner for like skatewear and like streetwear. I want to say the main 3 brands that was actually like taking over streetwear was probably Stussy, Supreme, and Bape. And also in this time, the brand actually blew up in China. It's said to believe that Chinese people found the brand unique and also very creative. Stussy was still big over in Europe as well, like literally everywhere, like Stussy was just killing it. I want to say in the 2000s, Stussy sort of hit its peak, and then rolling over to the 2010s, Stussy sort of took a hit. I feel like in the 2010s, Stussy become like very like repetitive, and the brand sort of become a little bit stale. And I feel like a lot of people was rocking with like newer brands such as like Off-White and Palace, and Stussy sort of took a backseat. Don't get me wrong, Stussy was still popular, but it wasn't really in the conversation of like, you know, a big streetwear brand anymore. I want to say it sort of flew under the radar for the good majority of like the 2010s. Even around the time of like 2017 to like 2019, where like streetwear was like at its peak, like Stussy was just quiet and like nowhere to be seen really. However, in the 2020s, I feel like Stussy is sort of like making a comeback, coming out with very unique pieces and very like creative designs, but at the same time sort of staying true to themselves. They have also done a collaboration with Nike again, which absolutely went crazy. Like a lot of people fucked with that. And to be fair, like the 2020s are shaping up to be a very good decade for the brand. However, they still have a long way to go to reach the heights that they did back in the day. But who knows where the brand is going to go next. I mean, they've been relevant for like nearly 40 years now. And 40 years is a very long time. Like you've seen a lot of brands come and go within that time, but Stussy has sort of stayed relevant. So hopefully they reach the heights that they used to have. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, a comment, and also subscribe. Until next time, I'm out.